The proposed rules apply to commercial drones, opening the skies to crop monitoring, aerial photography, videography, and maybe someday package and pizza deliveries. The guidelines cover drones that weigh up to 55 pounds and require that they be only flown within sight during daylight hours below 500 feet and no faster than 100 miles per hour. Operators need to be at least 17 years old, pass an aeronautics test, and be vetted by the TSA.
Juliana Goldman of CBS News explaining the proposed new FAA regulations that would apply to commercial drones. With Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth back with you now on America's Forum. Now, these new regulations, Miranda, come on the heels of a drone actually landing on the White House lawn last month.
Yeah, yet these new regulations, if accepted, would not go into effect until late next year. They could also hinder plans for companies like Amazon to use the drones for delivery purposes.
Now, to give us his aerial point of view on these new regulations, we are pleased to be joined. We just found out during the break, he is kin to the Wright brothers. Danny Wright of D&D Aviation. So we hear about these proposed new regulations for commercial drones. I guess the first question is, what is the difference between commercial and recreational drones?
Good morning, guys. The biggest difference is, the best one I could give you would be an example. If I fly a drone, keep it within a line of sight, daylight operations, and I keep visual contact with that aircraft, I can take pictures of my own property. And those are perfectly legitimate recreational hobby purposes. However, if I take those pictures and provide them for sale to someone else, that would be considered a commercial venture, and that would require the regulations to take place then.
Okay, so go ahead.
Well, just curious, so no regulation for private drones? I mean, if these are just for commercial, where do you draw the lines? What will the FAA do to people who use this as a, quote, hobby?
Actually, at the moment, they redefined in a new order that's been put out the definition of unmanned aircraft. And as long as it remains under 55 pounds, remains in daylight operations and within visual flight rules or visually with the operator, that is still classified as a model aircraft. And we already have public law and FAA regulations related to the operation of model aircraft. For example, it remains outside of a 5-mile radius of an airport. It does not fly over people or congested areas. And we do have specific model aircraft flying areas are spread out around the country, some of which are actually within that 5-mile radius of an airport. And in that case, the airport and the facility that allows the model aircraft have an agreement in place that controls the restriction of those aircraft. And as long as it remains under 55 pounds, it's still a hobby or recreational purposes.
So Danny, help us out. We've been spending much of this morning on America's Forum talking about security or lack thereof. So if the FAA is worried about what these drones can do, as in carrying bombs or illegal packages, then why are the new regulations not being tightened on recreational drones as well?
45 seconds, Danny.
Well, at the moment, they put out a proposed rule at the end of last year that they're hoping to implement by latter part of this year. In fact, initially the rumor was around September. That is related to the certification of commercial operation of the aircraft. At the moment, there are only two model of aircraft that have been certified for commercial operation. And they are available for operation within the Arctic Circle and the northern parts of the Antarctica. That is the only reason they have developed that at the moment. But because of more applications for commercial use, for example, filming an action scene and then putting it into a movie, that would be classified as commercial operation.
And you've laid that out for us in fine fashion, Danny Wright, a distant cousin of the Wright brothers, maybe in the line of sight generationally. Danny Wright, we thank you for the time on drones. We're coming back right after this.